Yeah, first of all, thank you all for joining this morning or this afternoon or this evening or for some of you probably early hours of the morning. Like he just said, my name is Anthony. Last name is Potgieter. He actually said it pretty well. I'm originally from South Africa. That's the last name. Just get that out there before everybody starts trying to figure out my accent through this whole talk and doesn't actually listen to me. I've had that happen too many times where people give me a blank stare and I'm like, why am I not making sense? And then their only question is, what is my accent? Where is it from? So now that we have that out the way, I am the senior e-commerce manager at Wise. My team's primary focus is on technology and development. So very much if you think platform level, anything customer facing, and all the intricacies that go into it. And we'll kind of go through it a little bit as we go about each kind of step on the e-commerce journey as far as Wise and all of that good stuff. So today I really want to share my journey over the last year and a half. And I want to try and present it through a unique lens. So hopefully what I want the outcome to be is that everybody thinks about their e-commerce platform differently. Or approaches things just a little bit differently than they have been before, because I think that's going to be very important as we face this next 6 months ahead of us. We could even say 3 months ahead of us, as I feel that it will be pretty critical time for e-commerce. So let's get started. Yep, as I said, my name's Anthony. And one more thing. After this, I want every one of you to push boundaries from this point on. Like that's one thing that we owe to customers and e-commerce thing is to push boundaries as much as possible. Hopefully I get inspired to do that. I know that kind of sounds like a motivational speaker, right? It doesn't sound too right. It's like, oh yeah, let's push boundaries. But how does that pertain to us? Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about evolve or become extinct. And so when I was thinking about this, it's very relevant to what we're facing today. E-commerce has completely shifted on its head. It went from being a secondary nice to have in certain business cases, and it's become a very primary focus very quickly due to the current situation. And we've seen companies evolve very quickly and be able to pivot. And we've seen other companies not be able to pivot, right? We've seen companies fall off. We've seen certain online stores like TJ Maxx, which is a huge store here in the US, be able to only open their online store for like a few minutes a day. And that comes from preparation, right? Which we'll talk about that. And it's about being prepared for these situations and reacting to them. So anyway, let's go to the next slide and talk about evolution. So now the main thing, you have to realize that evolution is different in each company. So I'm going to present what evolution means to Wise and like I said, how the last year and a half working at Wise, kind of what we went through on the e-commerce side. So remember that means different to everybody. Evolution can mean you're going from a brick and mortar and opening an online store. It can be if you have clients and you're a solutions provider, it can be about how to help them approach things differently, and all of those sort of things. The next thing to realize about evolution, and this is universal. It's kind of a human trait. Change is uncomfortable. We don't like change as human beings. We're very comfortable with the norms, right? It's like if you move a house, that's stressful. If you change jobs, that's stressful. But change is very, very uncomfortable. And that's okay. You have to embrace that and know that it's going to happen. You're going to feel stressed, but the outcome is kind of the reward for feeling that uncomfortable feeling. So what I try and do as much as possible is keep that in mind. Whenever there is stressful times or things having to change quickly, just remember it's normal, and you're going to get through it. And also evolution, if we look at it in nature sense, is over a long period of time, but it can be a short period of time. It can be very small changes. It can be larger changes. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, we're going to talk about it. We're going to focus on kind of Wise's evolution in the hope that you can kind of see things that we did in perspective and maybe apply it to your own business clients, or something that you're thinking about. But first of all, I want to, some of you already know who Wise is, some of you don't. So I'm going to play a short video really quickly, just so you can kind of get a feeling for what Wise is, what our culture is, because that will be pertinent in this presentation. So I'm going to quickly switch over the audio real quick, and then enjoy the video.
This is Henry Ford, an early 20th century entrepreneur. You know him as the founder of the first great car business, the Ford Motor Company. But Henry Ford didn't invent the car. The car was invented several years before Henry came along. But he was an expert in efficiency, and he used this expertise to completely disrupt the entire industry. He brought the price of a car down so low that everybody bought one. It was almost irresponsible not to buy one. The Model T took automobiles to the masses. Fast forward to 2020. The smart home industry has been around for several years. The technology is cool and makes life way easier, but it's yet to hit mass adoption. Not even close. Why? Number one, price.
This is what you would pay. It's the best price available anywhere.
A basic smart home setup with a couple cameras, bulbs, and sensors costs thousands of dollars. Way too much for a casual consumer. Number two, things don't work together. You want a smart home? You're going to need a myriad of companies and their apps. Number three, smart home technology just isn't that smart. Ever get a motion detection for a tree branch blowing in the wind, or a doorbell alert without facial recognition? It's like phones before caller ID. Smart technology needs a seamless IoT backend and built-in AI technology. Enter Wise. Day one. This is day one. This is day one of our business. A business that does not have a name. Wise was founded in 2017 by a couple of Amazon employees living in Seattle.
Always day one. Every day one.
Dongsheng and I. All right, let's do it. With our Amazon experience and a big, huge dream, we set out to reach an unimaginable goal. Be the first company to solve the smart home. We wanted to try a fresh approach by being friends with customers and obsessing over operational efficiency, bringing the cost way down. Things we learned at Amazon. We built a one-of-a-kind supply chain. We used inexpensive hardware and made it overperform using great software. And on October 24th, 2017, we launched the Wise Cam.
And what I've got here, this is called the Wise Cam. This little guy is $20, which is kind of a game changer.
To say it shocked the smart home industry is an understatement. It was called Too Good to Be True, a revolutionary smart home device for the masses. Business Insider said it was so good and so inexpensive, it would be, wait for it, irresponsible not to buy it. Here we go, 1 million units. We could barely stay in stock through our first year of business, but we managed to launch a second camera, WiseCam Pan, and did over 30 million in sales in our first year. WiseCam became the #1 selling camera on Amazon. As we progressed, our dream of taking smart home to the masses became more of a reality.
We raised $20 million. Whoa!
We launched 4 new products: sensors, bulbs, plugs, and a lock. We also brought in an unbelievable team. Lots of our friends from down the street at Amazon, including some of the best talent in cloud and AI technology. In 2019, we did 95 million in sales. And that was without 3 of our most disruptive products that are yet to hit the market: outdoor cam, video doorbell, and thermostat. Our price on these products is going to be insane. Nobody will be close. And that's not even the most exciting part. Imagine if Henry Ford had the ability to not only sell everyone a car, but also offer them the opportunity to make it a faster car or add a car alarm for just a few bucks a month. In December 2019, we launched our first service, Complete Motion Capture. Later this year, we'll add home emergency services and go after the huge security market. Our in-house person detection software is nearly done, and we have over 30 pieces of hardware in the works. With this combination of inexpensive smart home products combined with innovative services, we're ready to take smart home to the masses, to put it in every household, every country, everywhere in the world, to be the first company to figure this out, to make smart home technology accessible to all. We're dreamers. We know we can do it. And hopefully in 100 years, they'll be talking about us too.
All right. So hope you enjoyed that video. Hope that gives you a bit better idea of exactly who Wise is and what we do. So you can kind of see that we have a lot going on, right? We have a lot of products that are launching, and the main differentiator being price. Now, when you get a price that's that low, you get a huge demand, right? Because it becomes, in e-commerce terms, you're not one of kind of a niche store that's selling a few orders a day but very high revenue. You're selling a lot of orders that are very small orders, so you have to deal with a lot of volume. So essentially what wise.com is it's a small business dealing with a kind of the volume that kind of bigger companies are dealing with. Sorry, keep showing my bottom of my screen. I was trying to focus on that. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the evolution of wise.com. So when I started in January 2019, during the interview process, the team had said, this is what we're trying to accomplish in the next year. Obviously, me being in the interview, I kind of approached it. I was like, you know what, you need to move to another platform. I would highly suggest Magento. At that time, obviously, I didn't know if I got the job or not, but I knew it would be a fun project. So when I got the job, it became, the Magento would become real later on. But first of all, what the current platform that they had, this is what a product launch looked like. The website could support about 350 visitors at a time, which is not great by any standards. And you can imagine this adds a lot of stress. So it quickly became, Anthony, we have a problem. And unfortunately, I already knew that we had a problem, right? So it was like we were trying to work on figuring out what we were going to do the next step, while maintaining this current platform, throwing hardware at it, doing all sorts of things. And meanwhile, having people, write messages on forums like, what are you guys doing? Hire people who are older than 14 years old to do your e-commerce development. This is insane. And that's when you actually see the passion of customers when they really want a product, is through that. So I used it as motivation, right? So what we needed to do was pivot quickly. So the first thing that kind of looking at the system is I came up with some platform requirements, and this was, looking at where we were trying to go, and what the most optimal solution for us would be. And that's kind of these bullet points here, right? We wanted to have very high quality architecture, preferably built on a cloud solution, AWS, if you think about Magento Commerce. We needed reliable. Performance was important because we were missing both of those keys. Page load times were in the 7-second mark, performance-wise, and the reliability, obviously 350 customers and you're dead in the water for hours, was another thing. What we needed the reliability for, and I'll say this: there is no worse feeling than having a team be excited to launch a product, only to have the website let them down. It's something that I had to go through, obviously, because we inherited a platform and we were a quick growing company. But keep that in mind when you build things in the future. You're building it for the customers and also your team. You're their connection to the customer. Another thing we needed was 24/7 technical support. Now, this is important because we're a very small company. We're a startup, obviously, in Seattle. So the on-call person was myself. So we were, I would be monitoring it. The alarms would go off at 2 a.m. And so that was important, to have that technical support to kind of expand our team without having to hire full-time people to monitor our site. We wanted something with strict SLAs. So that's, for those of you, I'm assuming a lot of people have dealt with it before in this room, but it's kind of service level agreements. It's basically your contract with service providers. And I'll talk a bit about why that was important. Scalable over time, I think that's the most important one. We didn't want to do a huge switch to a new platform, only to replace it in a year or 2 years or in a few months, right? It was whatever solution we went with, it needed to carry us and carry our growth and not be a blocker at any cost. We also needed visibility on the server side. So a lot of solutions hosting wise, you often don't have that visibility that you need, whether that's kind of what the server is doing, what the memory is doing. I won't get too technical into it, but a lot of companies won't actually let you see that stuff. And then we also wanted a development process and pipeline. This is critical, right? To be able to code test, to have a proper workflow, to get your code up there and not bring down the site yourself without any visitors going on there. So it's quickly turned into a lot more. Once I started to dive deep into it, what started as finding a new platform, I suddenly realized that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So we could have the most amazing platform in the world, but if we didn't have a payment provider that could handle all of that volume, or a tax solution that couldn't calculate tax rates quick enough, that would kind of, why even do anything? That also, we would need to have all new connections to our warehouses, new warehouse logic, because we split orders depending on where you are in the country. Our app has a shop built into it, so we'd need that. We'd need new design. We would find like a new review solution, right? Because we knew that was important so that people can review our products honestly. Because if we're being honest, people naturally associate price with quality, another human trait. So if they see that there's a $20 camera, they'll be like, oh, I'm getting $20 worth of quality. How good can it be? Whereas that's not the case. That $20 camera is actually competing with a lot of $100 plus cameras. So we needed that. And then of course the training. So we have a team called the Wizards. So that's actually the Wise customer support team. So they're managing orders, managing if somebody's calling about different things. So that there was that training too that goes into it, right? And then overall we had to look at it. Having those requirements is great, right? Like, oh, let's run with it. But again, another factor to put in is that we needed to keep the budget down. Wise's philosophy, obviously, with keeping the price as low as we have to be so stringent on every single charge, right? So whether that's transaction level, tax calculation level, we really had to deep dive into that. So it was a lot of meetings with different companies figuring out pricing. And then to make it a bit more complex, I have a belief that your kind of the people that you work with that are outside of your direct team should still feel like your team, right? They should still share your team goals and beliefs. They're an extension of your team, and that goes a long way when you're talking to vendors. I don't want people who are just salesy. I don't want people to tell me, oh yeah, this is all possible. So those were kind of the three complexities on the added complexities that we had to go through. And then to throw a wrench in it, we had to accomplish this all in 4 months because we were trying to hit Q4. We didn't want to do a new website launch in Q4, and we had some new products coming out. So we had to launch it in 4 months while maintaining the existing site and launching 2 new products in that time frame. So obviously this was a big undertaking with kind of a lot of reward if we could make some of it happen, right? So platform-wise, obviously, we're at a Magento conference. We went with the Commerce Cloud, and that was because it checked all those boxes in the requirements, right, that we were talking about. Scalability, reliability, built on a good AWS architecture, and using Fastly Cache to kind of handle the requests. And that was important because if on wise.com, we have a pretty steady flow, but on launch days, we're easily, as of today, hitting 60 to 80 times the amount of traffic in 1 hour compared to the whole day. So you can imagine the complexities of that. You're having to be very dynamic while not having an overpowered machine all of the time. So this architecture and the way that we're able to scale the Commerce Cloud has helped us a lot in that way, because we can prepare for launch days and power up as needed. And then, like I said, that Fastly Cache layer really helps us. And then all the other built-in tools. I won't get too much into it, but so Commerce Cloud was our solution. but we still needed the talent, right? I knew that to accomplish all these things in 4 months, we need talent. We need people who know about Magento, who have a track record. And to be honest, I got super lucky at Imagine 2019. I was minding my own business, having some breakfast, and this gentleman walks up to me and he starts talking to me, and he automatically recognizes that I'm from South Africa. And I'm like, this is weird. Nobody really gets it straight away. And he's like, oh, I've ridden my motorcycle across the whole continent. I'm like, this guy's crazy. Who is this guy? And that turns out to be Slava, who's obviously on the board of Magento Association. And he actually introduced the Magento Association to me then. But we started talking, and I presented him the facts that, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to do all these things. And he was like, oh, that's pretty complex. And then I threw in that we're trying to do it in 4 months. And everybody else I told this, their first reaction was kind of, you're crazy. All right, pipe dreams. You're not going to accomplish this. Good luck. Slava, I saw this twinkle in his eye. He kind of had this this thing like, okay, I see what you're doing. Let's go on this crazy ride together. And then after that conversation, I started to kind of deep dive into what they had done for Magento, right? All of the contributions, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. I think I might have stumbled upon the team that can help the Wise team get to where they needed to go, and it was an extension of our team, and still is as of today, and for the future. We got along with the team. We all believed in the same vision, and we all believed that we could get it done in 4 months. So let's look at what we were able to accomplish out of the list of kind of those earlier things that we were talking about. So we actually accomplished every single thing on our list in 4 months. With our new architecture, we kind of we hit performance marks too. So we were now sub 2 seconds on page load times, and we load tested this. We were able to handle 50,000 customers per hour and 850 orders per minute. And that is that point that the machine that we were doing the load testing with could not handle anymore. So the system could go further than that. We figured this was a good point to stop. So that was pretty impressive. And previously, when we had talked about the 350 customers and dying, as of today, we've seen traffic around the 11,000 people, and we're still staying up, which is a huge success. And another kind of, sorry, 1 second. Another testament to the team was that we launched September 23rd, and that doesn't mean much. However, on September 24th, the very next day, we launched Wise Plug. So we launched the website one day and then launched the product the very next day. So that was kind of a testament to how much testing we had done and kind of the confidence we had in our solutions as we go. Since we've launched the website, we've now passed 500,000 orders. And like I said, we've been able to handle huge traffic spikes. We haven't had any crashes related to traffic, which has been a welcome thing, especially to me, right? Joining a new company and telling them to undertake a huge project, it was a big risk versus reward, and I'm glad we did it. And like I said before, the evolution was uncomfortable, right? The change was stressful, and there was a lot of hard work, but the reward is great. So anyway, so now you're wondering, okay, why did this guy go through this long story saying, this is what we did at Wise, this is what we went through? Why didn't I just say to you guys, hey, you got to evolve today. Okay, bye, have a good day. And that's because I want you to see the experience and think about your own experiences and know that nothing is impossible. It's this next 6 months, like I mentioned, is going to be huge for all of us. E-commerce has kind of been pushed to the forefront. Our industry is now at the front of everything. We were slowly gaining traction over time. People were shopping more online. I think last year was like 22% of global shoppers. But due to the current situation with everybody staying home and ordering, all those shoppers, there is so many more shoppers now than there ever was, and that percentage is going to be staggering. If you haven't already looked, if you look at whatever analytics platform you use or your clients use, or your business uses, try filter by new users, and you'll notice a pattern that your normal percentage of new users to returning visitors has definitely changed. So people are going to be more comfortable with shopping, but because they're more comfortable, they're going to expect a higher bar, right? And that's when I say to challenge yourself, to make sure that you're maintaining a higher bar. Don't settle for getting by, and try and challenge yourself as you go. So now we'll talk about a few small things that you can maybe think of in your own business sense. I just thought of a few ideas of maybe that stuff that you can apply to your own e-commerce platform or your client's platform today. One is make sure you're dynamic, right? I think we've learned that the day-to-day changes for Wise, our products change, our demand changes. Be able to shift and be dynamic, because that dynamic gives you the power of the direct to consumer. If you're reliant on other companies, a lot of people are reliant on places like Amazon and eBay, and that's great. Those are great platforms, but always be in control of your own destiny, right? You want that direct to consumer experience because you control it and you can be dynamic. You can list a product, change a price, do anything you want in a few minutes. So always keep that in mind. Never lock yourself in to having a long process, and know that being dynamic, sometimes you're going to have to be a little bit scrappy to get it done. And that's okay sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. The next thing is have an emergency plan, right? For failure and success. I think a lot of people have emergency plans for failure. They're like, oh, if the server goes down, what do we do? Or if, the worst case scenario, but also have an emergency plan for success. We all strive for success. However, I feel like a lot of times when success hits, a product goes viral, right? We look at like Slick Deals has taken down numerous people's websites. You have to have a plan for both. Have a plan for if something wrong happens, but also have a plan if something really great happens, because that's your chance. You're going to capture new sales, new people. You're going to introduce them to your brand. And I think that's just as important as having a plan for failure. And again, proactive, not reactive, right? Always be looking in the future. The changes that we made to wise.com during that 4-month period and the new launch, we were being very proactive because Q4 and the new product launches, and both of those things have been very successful. Our product launches have been more successful than ever before. So be proactive. And again, kind of, I touched on this a little bit. E-commerce is not just shopping anymore, right? It's brand perception, it's customer loyalty, it's customer happiness, it's your direct relationship with customers. It's we have a chance to interact directly with somebody. And if you think about the experience today of walking in to a store and speaking to somebody and the greeting versus the cold reality that is most e-commerce sites, we have the chance to change that. We really need to think of new ways to make the customer feel welcome and special. And that can be through personalization and all sorts of things like that. Other things, metrics, you have to measure. If you're not already measuring metrics, I highly suggest it. Again, you want to, if your orders aren't going through, you want to know, but if orders are going through the roof, you also want to know. And then one of the final takeaways, easy is boring. Remember this, because none of us are in the e-commerce realm because we aren't passionate about it, right? We're all passionate about it, and we don't want things. Easy is boring. Anybody can do easy, but we can do the things that are more challenging, right? So I challenge all of you to evolve and kind of push the boundaries. And then what's next for Wise? This is kind of our next, kind of evolving and pushing the boundaries on our side. So we're working on a PWA closely with Atwix, which is going very well. We're going to have a very unique checkout that I think will be different from things that we've seen on Magento. So looking forward to that. We're going to be launching in Canada, which is amazing. That will also be a PWA launching in Canada, so it'll be multi-store. We'll also be housing that PWA in our mobile app. So right now we have a lot of duplicate code that we have to kind of do in one platform and another, where that will be shared. We have many product launches coming this year. And then, like I said, personalization, I think that's the most interesting to me, because I don't want to treat two people the same way ever. And I know that might seem like a pipe dream, but I think that we're at a point, starting to get at a point now where everybody can have a different experience, and they should have a different experience. So yeah, that's all I have. I know that I'm probably close to out of time, but I could take a few questions. If you have any other questions, make sure you can add me on LinkedIn or anywhere else. Happy to talk to you. And thank you very much for listening.